Marcus had been driving the Route 14 bus for 11 years, and in all that time, he had seen just about everything a city could throw at a person, drunks and dreamers, the broken and the brave. But nothing had ever prepared him for the morning a trembling woman in a yellow headscarf climbed aboard his bus and whispered those words directly into his soul. It was a Tuesday, gray and cold, the kind of morning that makes the whole world feel like it is holding its breath. And Marcus was halfway through his third cup of terrible vending machine coffee when she stepped on, coins rattling in her shaking palm, eyes darting toward the back window like something terrible was following her. Her name, he would later learn, was Amara, a mother of two, originally from Senegal, who had been living in this country for 7 years on an expired visa, working double shifts at a laundry facility, sending money home to her sick mother, raising her children alone after her husband passed away from a sudden illness 2 winters ago. She sat right behind him, and for 3 stops she said nothing. And then she leaned forward, and her voice came out so small it barely existed. "Sir," she whispered, "there are immigration officers at the next block. They stopped my neighbor last week. I have my children's school meeting today, and if I don't show up, they will call the authorities and my children, my babies, will be taken. Please, can you pretend to be my husband, just for today? Just to walk me past them?" Marcus felt the words land somewhere deep in his chest. He was a simple man, a divorced father of 1, living in a 2-bedroom apartment, driving a city bus because it was honest work and he believed in showing up. And he had never in his life been asked to carry someone else's fear before. He looked in the rearview mirror and saw her eyes, and in those eyes he saw every parent who had ever been terrified of losing their child. And without fully understanding what he was agreeing to, he nodded. He radioed dispatch and told them he needed a 15-minute personal stop for a medical situation, which was not entirely a lie, because what Amara was experiencing was a kind of emergency that no doctor could fix. He pulled the bus to a legal stop 2 blocks early, stepped off with her, and took her trembling hand in his large, calloused one. They walked together down the sidewalk, 2 strangers performing the oldest and most sacred act of humanity, protecting someone who cannot protect themselves. There were 2 officers standing near the crosswalk, and Marcus kept his chin up and his hand steady around hers. And when one of the officers glanced their way, Marcus turned to Amara and said loudly, warmly, "You sure you don't want me to pick up the kids after the meeting, baby?" And Amara, bless her heart, smiled the most convincing smile a terrified woman has ever produced in the history of this earth, and said, "No, sweetheart, I've got it." They walked past, just like that. On the other side of the block, Amara stopped walking and pressed her free hand over her mouth. And Marcus felt her whole body shaking, not from fear this time, but from relief, from the overwhelming and sudden awareness that a stranger had chosen her life over his convenience. She tried to give him the coins she had been clutching, everything she had in her hand for the bus fare, and he closed her fingers back around them and shook his head. "You keep that," he said simply. "Go be with your babies." He went back to his bus, finished his route, and said nothing to anyone. But the universe, as it tends to do when quiet goodness is performed in its presence, was paying attention. A passenger, an older woman in a blue coat who had watched the entire thing from the window, wrote a letter to the City Transit Authority, describing what she had seen, calling Marcus the finest human being she had ever witnessed in public service. The letter was shared, then shared again, then again. Within 2 weeks, a local immigration legal aid organization had been connected to Amara's case through a series of people who had read that letter and felt called to act. A lawyer took her case pro bono. Her children were not taken. The process was long and hard and uncertain, as such things always are. But Amara had a fighting chance. And it had all started because a bus driver with tired eyes and a good heart chose, for 15 minutes on a gray Tuesday morning, to be someone's husband, someone's protector, someone's proof that the world still contains people worth believing in. Marcus never thought of himself as a hero. He thought of himself as a man who drove a bus and tried to do right by people. But sometimes that is exactly what a hero looks like. No cape, no fanfare, just a steady hand and a willingness to walk alongside someone through their fear. If this story moved your heart the way it moved ours, please give it a like. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that good people still exist. And subscribe to Kindness Corner Stories, where every story is a reminder that humanity, at its best, is still something beautiful.